I had such an enriching conversation on the Amplify Ambition podcast with Kristen Edwards, and it was so good, I wanted to share it with you here today. Welcome to From Click to Client, where we transform a confusing message into a clear, compelling story that sells. I'm your host, Kris Jones, Storybrand marketing expert. I'm here to help you attract more dream clients with the power of story.
Welcome back to another episode of Amplify Ambition. I always love when I have a name twin, although she spells her real name wrong. It's okay. Everything that Kris Jones stands for is really exciting. And I think as everyone, always wants to start a new year fresh and with the best version of themselves going forward. And what better way to do that than the website that you create and that everyone gets to land on as well. And so I'm really excited to welcome Kris Jones to the show today.
Thank you so much. I am really happy to be here today.
Absolutely. And so before we dive into really what you do and how you help people, I think it's important for us to bring all of who we are to the surface. And so what's that thing that you are truly passionate about, but is not technically a part of the brand that we see on social media or on your website?
Something I'm truly passionate about. I'm really passionate about freedom. And I think that's why I have become an entrepreneur. I'm crazy about freedom. And I think it's kind of twofold because I help people become entrepreneurs or find more success as entrepreneurs. But underneath all that is just, I want you to have the freedom that I have because it is so good.
I love that. And I think that always lends to like one, the greatest setup of a podcast of like, I'm here for freedom. But for you to also have that mission as an underlying part of not just the work that you're doing, but how you're also trying to live your own life. And I think for, depending on it, we either get too wrapped up in making those two things the same, or we compartmentalize life and business so much. But for that thread of freedom to just kind of be at the essence of like, probably why you started your business was either money or time freedom and just that flexibility, and both of those allow you to make those choices for yourself. So I'm excited for where this is going to go from here.
Me too.
All right, so what got you started in the work that you're doing? You help people with their story brand, writing their website. Honestly, I really want to know where Red Door Designs came from, but really, what got you started on this journey?
All right. Well, way back, actually, like 2 decades ago now, I started out doing graphic design, and I worked for a lot of well-known companies, big corporations, like in a cubicle, kind of the opposite of freedom at the time. And I could tell it was kind of not life-giving for me. I kind of knew like if I stay here too long, uh, my health will probably suffer and I won't be very happy. And so at the time, I was really focused on kind of storytelling through design. And I decided to leave. I was at Nike at the time, and I decided to leave Nike and kind of hang up my own shingle. And that's when I came up with Red Door Designs. And the color red symbolizes passion, which I'm a very passionate person, and I'm also very passionate about the work that I do. But the red door is really well known for representing hospitality and good fortune. And I think all of those values really encompass still today, right? 20 years later, it's like they still just resonate with who I am and the work that I do. So that's kind of where it all began way back then. And over time, I did more and more design work. I got better and better, helping more and more clients, I got really into website design. And I found that I really loved the work, and I loved how powerful it could be in helping my clients grow. That being said, I started to realize this common problem that pretty much every client had when they came to me, which was we talk about their website project. And this was kind of back in the day when you could have a website, and if it were designed well, it didn't really need to have any good words on it. It didn't need to be well written. And you could get clients, and you could grow your business with a beautiful site, but it didn't have to be written well. And so like, that was all good with me. I was all about the design. But then eventually that kind of shifted, and literally 100% of the clients that I would work with would say, I'd say, okay, we're going to start your project on this date, and I'm going to need what the words that you want on your website by, the week prior to that date. And they'd be like, well, what? Like, what? How? What do you want me to say? What should I write? And I'd be like, you'll figure it out. You got this. Like, just talk a little bit about yourself. And then what would happen is the project would get moved back because the client was struggling so much with writing their website. Or they would get it to me, but they were pulling their hair out during the process. And sometimes they would give me pages and pages and pages of content that I was like, oh my gosh, this is
now you're the editor.
A week of editing, and I didn't realize this at the onset of the project. So what happened was I made it my mission to crack the code on how to write really simple and clear website copy that was effective, that helped people grow really effectively. Like, what's the point of writing a website or even having a website if it's not really a powerful tool for growth? And my belief is that your website is really your most powerful tool for growing your business and evolving the work that you do. So that was in 2017. I became a Storybrand guide. If anybody hasn't read the book Building a Storybrand by Donald Miller,
they should.
They should. They
Go
should.
get it.
A little bit like, go get it, or put it on audio. I love listening to books like that while I'm, doing the dishes or whatever. But that book really helped me delve deep into storytelling, what makes a good story, and how to translate storytelling into marketing copy. And so even now people read the book and they're like, okay, I get it. I get why a story is important. That's not a foreign concept in today's culture, but what's really challenging is how to write a story for yourself or for your own business that really works. And the reason it's such an issue is because of this thing that I like to call the bottle effect, where as business owners, we are just stuck inside of our own bottle, and we're trying to read a label on the bottle that can only be read by someone who's outside the bottle. And no matter how hard we try, we can't get out of the bottle. And so that's why it's really important to, number one, let yourself off the hook, because it's hard for everybody. And now you kind of know why it's so hard. And also to get help, to have somebody help give you the perspective that you need. And that is literally why I'm on this earth, is to really be outside your bottle and to help you read it with clarity and ease, and craft a story that connects with your ideal audience, but also that really feels aligned to you. And what I saw happen for many years in my industry was, even with my own business, where I would focus on the design and then I'd hire a copywriter, or my client would hire a copywriter. And the writer with the best of intentions would go write the copy in a silo and give it back to their client. And it was like, it just was out of alignment, because you can't outsource your own voice. You cannot outsource your own voice. So what I developed was a collaborative approach to copywriting, where together we work on it. You're not left alone. You're not left, staring at a blank screen, pulling your hair out. And we walk through the process of storytelling, and we craft your wireframe, and we do it all in 2.5 hours flat. So it's a blast. It solves a huge problem out there in the marketplace, and it's really fun and powerful.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much to unpack in that. And again, you started off with saying I'm passionate about freedom. And so how do I find the life that I want for myself? And as we start a business, regardless of the rules and if you're following it or not, every single person wants to have a website for their business. And even the headline, like it's what, maybe 4 or 5 words, and you're like, what do I put there? How am I going to do this? And then personally for me, the about page, I think probably took me 2.5 months to write in comparison to your 2.5 hours. And so I definitely want to start to unpack, how you help people, unpack that with this framework. But I think my biggest takeaway in what you're saying is like this collaboration piece, because a lot of times we think one of the two extremes, either I have to do it all by myself, and depending on what your natural or past writing experiences have been, there's a whole lot of self-love that might need to happen, and there's a lot of mindset work to even again open up that first document. Or there's the far extreme of you outsource it, and even if you're outsourcing it to a copywriter, a good copywriter is going to sit down and say, well, like, tell me about yourself, tell me about the work you do. They're going to ask you questions. And so to be able to unpack that, and I think my first website did take me 2.5 months of like really bad DIY. And then, once I properly learned tools of writing, updating it was another 2.5 months. And you're just constantly on that journey. And you're saying, no, guys, 2.5 hours, I can help you get it all out of your brain and onto paper or truly onto your website in this, I mean, a quarter of a day, not even half a day, a quarter of a day. And so I want all the secrets. I want you to tell me everything that you know as well. But can you really start to share a little bit more about this Storybrand framework and how that really helps you create a website that's going to actually do that work to convert, to attract clients, to bring people into your business?
Yeah. So I'll touch on briefly about the process. So the key thing to remember is that the information is all inside of you, and you really just need somebody who knows how to extract the information and pull all that out of you and then put it together like a puzzle. So that's, half the work of that's really a big part of my job is after so many years of doing this, I know how to extract those storytelling components out of you. And then after I've extracted all that, then I write your page for you. I write a first draft of it, and then we get on a collaboration call and we really dive deep into the nuances. You are the expert of your industry. You're the expert of the work that you do and and the unique way that you do it. So I don't claim to be the expert on your business, and that's why it has to be collaborative. The words that your clients show up with and use, and the struggles that they have. And when it comes to the framework, the Storybrand framework itself, it's really it is the Storybrand framework, but it's really much bigger than that. It's really how to tell a compelling story. And lots of people have written about the hero's journey and storytelling. And I have really just dumbed it down to the most simple 3 stages that every story has. And the first one is that every story begins with a hero that has a problem that they can't solve. And that hero then meets a guide that has a solution. That's you. And then the hero experiences success and avoids failure because of the help from the guide. And the thing I want people to really take away here is that your client is the hero and you are the guide. And what I see, the mistakes that I see a lot all over the internet, 99% of the websites do this unintentionally. They make themselves the hero of their own website. And there's only room for one hero in every story. So instead of inviting your clients or customers into a story with you, when they land on your website, you boot them out of the story because you've already claimed to be the hero of your story. And so what I really help my clients do is help establish them as the guide with the solution, and then invite their clients into a narrative with them.
I love that. And I think it's one of those things that's easy to forget and to just kind of skip over, of recognizing the person that you want to win is that client, is the person that's going to come and work with you. And now we each, again, as the expert of whatever industry you're in, you're saying, I know the 3 to 5 steps to help you achieve your goal. And so recognizing that as the business owner, we are facilitating that journey, but we are not the star of that journey, along the way. So I love how you're breaking that down. And I think a lot of times, again, we especially as women, like, we just complicate everything. And you're like, nope, just switch it. That's all. And I think that's really where that time saving, comes in, is because you're saying, here is this formula, here is this framework to ensure that regardless of what industry you're in, regardless of, how exactly you serve people, let them be the hero. You're their guide. And then take them on that journey. Share your story in a way that helps them see themselves on the page.
Exactly. 100%. Yeah.
Love that. I feel like I could ask you 1,000 more questions, and I kind of want to. But what are some of the things that can help people to kind of realize, this is how I can connect with my potential buyers, even like, okay, I've made them the hero. I understand what Kris has told me, but what is it that's in my story that helps that person see themselves on the page?
A really tangible way to start this process, if you just want to dip your toe in, then go to your website and write down, or just open up a Google Doc, right? And write down the problems that your clients experience. And you might come up with 5 or 10 or a few. Like, hone it down to like the biggest 3 problems that your customers face. And you can start, like, you've got your header on your website, which states what you do. And then right below that, get right into the problem that they're experiencing. So you can go to my website as an example of this, but what I typically do is I start that website out, because every story begins with a hero that has a problem. So if you can articulate in a few bullets 3 different problems that your customers are experiencing, so many cool, powerful things happen in the brain. Number 1, they're like, okay, I feel seen and heard. I'm not alone in this struggle. Number 2, if this person can articulate my problem, they must be the best one to solve it. So they're immediately, like, in an indirect way, you're building trust with them, and they're realizing that you're the best one to solve this problem. And I think that's really the power of that section. Like, you want them to feel seen and heard. You want to build trust with them. And then you also, in the following section after that, you really want to show them what's possible. So you kind of want to do 2 sides of the same coin. On one side, you talk about the problem, and then on the other side of the coin, which is that section right below that, you show them what's possible. Like, what is possible for your life after you have a website that's, bringing you leads and increasing your revenue? What's your life going to look like? Or whatever problem that you're solving, whatever they're hoping for their lives, make sure to make that clear. I think the one thing that people often get wrong is they again talk about themselves, or they talk about features of working with them, but you really don't want to waste people's time with that. You really just want to let me share this. Everyone is scanning the world trying to figure out how to survive and thrive. And it sounds negative when I say it this way, but everybody just cares about themselves. It's just how we're wired as humans. We care about our own success, and we're constantly looking for ways to create more success in our life. So it's really important that pretty high up on the page, you really spell it out in simple terms, 3 different ways their life is going to be better because they've solved this problem.
Got that. I love that. So, oh man, like I need to go write stuff down and make some updates, even listening, to you. But one more question that I want to ask you, on your website and different, it's literally saying have a website that works as hard as you do, which means that my website is selling those people, and you've unpacked some of those things that help them see, feel seen and heard, so that they're saying, she gets me. I trust her. I want to buy from her. But what is it that your website is doing? Is there like this, again, thing that we're just kind of naturally skipping over, that it's like, this is what helps my website to sell for me?
I think that the clearer you are, the simpler you are. I mean, if you pick up your mobile phone and you scan through a website, you know how quickly you go through that website from top to bottom. And so you really want to design it and write it in a way that can be scannable. There's lots of things that you can do to increase your conversions. But I think that the overarching best thing you can do is just to keep things really simple and really clear, and help them understand very quickly what you do, what problem you solve, how you make their life better. And then one of the most important things after you've done that is just a clear call to action. What do you want them to do next? And don't make it passive. Often we're like, learn more, or accelerate, or vague things like that. It's like, nope, call me, email me, schedule a call, start your project. These are ways, again, that you can show up as the guide. A guide isn't passive. A guide wants to help you, and the guide knows what next step you need to take in order to get the help that you need. And so if you can have a clear call to action and be consistent with it, don't have 8 different calls to action on your website, have one. You want them to be, they're on your website, you want them to do one thing, you want them to reach out to you in some way, shape, or form.
I love that. And I think, again, it's one of those things, like you're saying, keep it simple and be clear about it. And I think it's easy to think websites must have words. Let me throw 20,000 of them at someone. It's like, no, that's a book. That's not a website. But it's so easy to go to the far extreme, and you're like, no, keep it simple, and then tell them what to do next. So that was 2 tips. So thank you for the bonus on that, as well. As people are unpacking this and hopefully taking notes, because I know I'm going to listen to this thing like 3 more times and then go type up some tweaks on my website as well. What is that thing that you really want them to remember, not just this episode, but as they hear the name Kris Jones, as they find you on social media? What is that legacy that you're really trying to create?
Clarity. I think there is just so much overwhelm and confusion in the world today. And it's kind of a more is more society that we live in. And I just want to flip that whole thing on its head. Get clear, keep it simple. And also, freedom. Get back to the, full circle here, back to the freedom. Let your website do the heavy lifting for you. So you can do the work you love and not spend a bunch of time trying to sell the work that you love.
That was so deep. Like, did everyone just hear that? You're like, let your website do the work. And I think that's, again, especially if you're, in the earlier stages of your business, like it's so easy to get stuck on this hamster wheel of, I need to sell more, I need to do more. And you're like, No, write a good website and let the website do the work as well. So everything that you're saying, so much gold, so much truth. If people are listening and they're like, this is what I need. Like I need to stop trying to DIY. I want to take that next step and find the support that I need. How can they find you and, learn more about the work that you do, and specifically even hire you if that's what they want to do next?
Yeah. So if you are totally done with DIY and you want to have website copy that sells in 2.5 hours flat, go to reddoordesigns.com. And on there, you'll easily be able to click a button and work directly with me one-on-one. You will not be left alone trying to write your own copy. And if you are in a stage of your business where you do want to DIY it, there's a freebie on there that is a 5-minute toolkit to show you how to write your own compelling copy in 5 minutes.
I love that. You are saving everyone time. Freebies that take you 5 minutes, phenomenal offers that are like 2.5 hours, not months or weeks or years, as well. And I think that's one of those things that if you're really looking for freedom, like stop wasting time. So, two awesome things. I will drop the links to all of those in the show notes, as well. It's been fun watching you on Instagram the past couple weeks, and you're on some other social media platforms as well. But if someone is ready to jump in and again, stop with the DIY, get off that hamster wheel, have a website that does the work for you, then Kris Jones is definitely the person for you to connect with. But it's been great having you share your story and really creating that ripple effect of freedom as well. So thank you for being on today.
Oh, thank you so much, Kristen. I love what you are creating and the way you navigate these podcasts is really refreshing. And I love how you dive deep, and you go deeper beyond, the work. It's more about the purpose, and that's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is your website turning away potential clients? I can help you turn that around. Book a money-making messaging call with me today, and we'll transform your story into your most powerful sales tool. That's all for this episode of From Click to Client. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. I'm Kris Jones, and I'll see you next time.